Revealed, how my grandmother's incredible transformation saved her from a life-changing asylum. Emma stared at the headline above her grandmother's worn photograph. The words felt explosive, like a firecracker ready to ignite, filled with hope and desperation. Mabel, once a fierce and proud World War II veteran, now teetered on the edge of a reality that threatened to engulf them both. She could hear the whispers of the neighbors, the judgment wrapped in pity stung like a bee on a hot summer day. All Emma wanted was to protect the woman who had held her hand through it all. Every day, Emma felt the weight of weary bills, and her heart would ache with each choice her family had to make. Groceries or the electric bill? It would gnaw at her soul. The shadows of mounting pressure loomed large over her teenage dreams of college, screaming for attention amidst the chaos that was their daily life. Her grandmother's unpredictable moods shifted like the fickle Midwest weather, offering warmth one moment and an icy chill the next. Emma could see it, a slip of Mabel into the depths of confusion, where the woman she adored fought invisible demons. Yet, every time Emma reached out, Mabel flashed a smile that could light up the darkest of storms. "I've faced worse, my sweet pea," she'd say, her voice a mixture of strength and fragility. It was moments like these that filled Emma with hope, though doubt anchored itself to her heart more each day. Then came the night that shattered Emma's carefully constructed world. Mabel's laughter turned into a manic fit, her eyes wild with unexplainable fear, as she hugged the family dog, her voice rising, calling out for soldiers long gone. The tiny living room echoed with panic, each family member frozen in disbelief. It felt like time stopped. Neighbors peeked through the window, their gasps surrounding them like thunder. As if the universe responded, the doorbell rang. One by one, familiar faces entered, extending hands of friendship. No judgment. Just compassion. It was a whirlwind of chaotic love, a reminder of the community they had built together. What began as a personal crisis turned into a rallying cry, challenging the silence that often cloaked discussions about mental health. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Amidst the chaos, Emma found an old scrapbook hidden in the attic. Dust floated in the air as she flipped through pages filled with photos of Mabel and her youth, a time of fierce independence and spirited laughter. This was the woman who danced under the stars, who fought for freedom, who loved without barriers. With each page, Emma felt a spark flicker in her heart. She recognized the flame of resilience that lit Mabel's youthful eyes, now hidden beneath layers of worry. It ignited a new purpose within Emma. "I can't abandon you," she whispered to the past as if Mabel could hear her. But would this commitment shackle her dreams forever? The battle inside raged on. As the evening drew to a close, Emma's heart tremored. The support they received was a bittersweet reminder of the road ahead. Mabel needed her, but so did her dreams. Would love triumph over despair, or was she destined to take the weight of her grandmother's legacy? Emma knew one truth: the fight was far from over. The question lingered in the air: what legacy of love and resilience would define them both? The following morning, Emma awoke to a hushed light filtering through the curtains. It felt different somehow, lighter, as if hope had crept into their home overnight. She tried to shake off the anxious feeling from the previous night, twisting it into a resolve. Today is the day, she thought, determination thickening in her chest. She tiptoed to the kitchen, the floorboards creaking quietly beneath her feet. Mabel sat there, sipping her morning coffee, staring out the window as if lost in the memories of a world that had once been. Emma felt a pull in her heart. This was the woman who had danced with joy, but now the shadows seemed to follow her like a silent partner. "Good morning, Grandma," Emma said brightly, as she poured herself a cup of coffee. Mabel turned slowly, her smile emerging like a flower blooming against a stark winter. "Good morning, my sweet pea," she replied, her voice soft and comforting. In that moment, Emma felt a flicker of the old Mabel return. They shared breakfast in silence, the aroma of toast wafting through the air, each bite heavy with unspoken words. After cleaning up, Emma mustered her courage. "Grandma, how about we go for a walk today?" she suggested, her voice slightly trembling with anticipation. "Just like the old days." Mabel looked up, a glimmering light sparked in her eyes. "You mean down by the lake?" "That's right. We could even bring the dog." Emma felt a bubble of excitement rise within her. This was a celebration of their bond, an attempt to dredge Mabel from the depths of confusion and give her a taste of the life they once shared. The two dressed quickly. Emma helped Mabel into her light jacket, their movements filled with a newfound rhythm. They stepped outside, the crisp air wrapping around them like a soft embrace. The sun peered shyly from behind the clouds, as if urging them on. The walk down to the lake was filled with tentative laughter, the day brightening with each shared story. Emma felt alive, her heart echoing with the memories of summer spent running through fields and laughing till their sides hurt. At the lakeside, Mabel gazed out over the still water. "It's beautiful," she whispered, a hint of nostalgia in her voice that tugged at Emma's heart. "Just like you, Grandma," Emma said, kneeling down beside her. "You fought battles that most couldn't even imagine. And you're still here, still a warrior." Mabel turned toward her, eyes glistening. "You make me feel strong again," she admitted, vulnerability cracking through her voice. Emma laid her head on Mabel's shoulder, warmth enveloping them. But just as the moment felt perfect, a shadow flicked across Mabel's face. Emma sensed a storm brewing behind her grandmother's composure. "Mabel, are you feeling okay?" Emma asked, anxiousness creeping back into her voice, the fear of losing this moment tightening its grip on her heart. I keep thinking of the past, how quickly things changed," Mabel began, her voice wavering. "Sometimes, I forget and sometimes, I remember all too well." The words hung in the air, heavy and sorrowful, and Emma fought to keep the tremors of fear at bay. As they sat, waiting for Mabel's next breath, it became evident that they needed to confront what lay beneath the surface. Emma felt the weight of her choices press against her chest. She wanted desperately to keep Mabel stable, yet all she could do was support her through this turbulent journey. "Grandma, we can face anything together," Emma whispered fiercely, grasping Mabel's hand tighter. But little did they know, the looming storm of uncertainty was only just beginning to rise on the horizon. Would they be able to navigate the choppy waters of their shared pain, or would both of their hopes drown beneath the waves? Emma's heart raced with the dawning realization that the battle they faced was far deeper than she ever anticipated. What awaited them once they delved beneath the surface? Emma studied Mabel's face, searching for answers hidden behind her grandmother's gaze. The silence between them turned heavy, almost suffocating, as the weight of unspoken fears pressed down. Emma squeezed Mabel's hand tighter, hoping her own strength would somehow transfer to her grandmother. "Mabel, memory is tricky," Emma began, choosing her words carefully as she searched for a way to bridge the gap. "Sometimes it's beautiful, holding our happiest moments, and other times," she trailed off, realizing how her heart ached for her grandmother's struggle. Mabel shifted slightly, pulling her gaze from the lake to Emma's. "I wish I could just hold on to the good things. That's all I want." Her voice fluttered like a leaf caught in the wind, unsure and trembling. The breeze rustled through the trees, carrying a sense of change. Emma could feel it too, a shiver of possibility dancing around them with every gust. She leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "What if we create more good memories together? What if we start right now?" Mabel's eyes sparkled just for a moment. "You mean like our picnics by the old oak tree?" "Yes. Just like that. We can pack lunch, bring your favorite blankets, and maybe a deck of cards." Emma's excitement filled the space, pushing back against the shadows that shrouded Mabel's heart. "We can laugh like we used to, no heavy thoughts, just us, together." A flicker of recognition sparked in Mabel's eyes. "I remember that tree," she said softly, memories beginning to surface. "We'd slice apples and share stories for hours. That's exactly it." Emma beamed, grateful for the light breaking through. "Let us go there. It'll bring back some laughter, I promise." As they rose to their feet, Emma felt a surge of hope. The idea of recreating those cherished moments filled her with warmth. But as they made their way back along the lakeside path, slight tremors of worry tinged the edges of her optimism. What if Mabel didn't remember everything? Or worse, what if those memories were too painful to revisit? Emma, Mabel's voice trembled as she broke the silence again. What if the past overwhelms me? I can't bear the thought of losing my grounding. Emma paused, seeing the fear etched into her grandmother's features. It's okay, Grandma. If the memories rush in and become too much, remember I'm right here. We can talk through those feelings together, she reassured, her own breath hitching slightly. I just don't want to forget you, Mabel admitted, her voice cracking. Sometimes, I worry that you'll disappear like the memories, like shadows do. No. I'm not going anywhere, Emma insisted, her voice fierce and protective. You're my rock, and I couldn't imagine my life without you. They reached the car, and Emma opened the door for Mabel, who slid in, a small sigh escaping her lips. Emma closed the door gently, her heart racing. She knew there was still so much uncertainty lurking ahead, but she couldn't let that stop them. Reviving the bond would mean facing the shadows together, challenging the darkness that threatened to pull Mabel under. As Emma drove toward the oak tree, she felt a spark of something: determination? Hope? A groaning pit of fear? Maybe all of it swirled. They were walking into the unknown, but perhaps that was exactly where they needed to be. Once they arrived, the trees stood tall, leaves rustling gently in the wind, a reminder of every summer day they'd filled with laughter. As they settled their picnic blanket on the ground, Emma took a deep breath, emotions bubbling up like a pot about to boil. Here we go, Emma muttered softly, ready to unearth memories hidden beneath layers of time and emotion. But just as they began to unwrap their lunch, Emma noticed a shift in Mabel's expression, the familiar glimmer of uncertainty returning. Emma's heart raced. What would emerge from this nostalgia? Would the memories heal or hurt? As a single word danced on Emma's lips, everything felt more fragile than ever. Mabel? Emma whispered, nervously, feeling the weight of their journey ahead. With that, an unexpected revelation lay ahead, one that would change everything they believed about the past. Mabel's gaze dropped, her fingers fidgeting with the edges of the picnic blanket. The sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting a mosaic of light and shadow on her face. Emma felt the tremor beneath her skin as doubt flooded the air between them. Mabel, Emma said again, her voice a soft guiding hand. What are you thinking? I'm just scared, Mabel admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. What if these memories push me too far? What if I lose myself in all of it? The fear pooled in her eyes, making Emma's heart drop. Emma took a deep breath, trying to gather strength. But what if they bring you peace? What if talking about them reminds you that you're still here? That we're together? She leaned closer, searching her grandmother's face for a flicker of hope. For a moment, Mabel remained silent, staring at the ground as if it held the key to her turmoil. Suddenly, she looked up, her eyes suddenly brightening with a nostalgic fire. Do you remember the stories I used to tell you about how I met your grandfather? Of course. Emma exclaimed, her spirits lifting like a kite catching wind. He was so charming. You told me he danced under the stars with you. Mabel chuckled softly, the sound like a gentle breeze. He did. We had this silly tradition where we'd dance in the backyard, just the two of us. It felt like time would stand still. Tell the story, Grandma, Emma urged, eager to guide Mabel back into the light. Please. Well, Mabel began, her voice growing steadier. It started one warm summer night. I was wearing that blue dress you loved so much. Your grandfather thought I was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. The words came easier as she fell deeper into the memory. As Mabel painted the scene, Emma could see the joy returning to her grandmother's face. Each story breathed life into the past, showing the shimmering beauty woven through Mabel's life, the fabric of her existence becoming rich with color once again. They danced with fireflies around us, and I remember the way he held me tight as we spun. Mabel inhaled sharply, her smile faltering for a moment. I thought we'd never stop dancing, but then the shadow slipped back into her eyes. Grandma, Emma whispered, her heart pounding. You don't have to hold on to the bad parts. Mabel took a deep breath, a small shiver of vulnerability rushing through her. It's just sometimes I'm not sure if the good memories outweigh the pain. With him gone and all, her voice trailed off, the weight of loss lingering between them like a stubborn fog. It's okay to feel both, to hold all those memories together. They make you who you are, Emma said, her own feelings bubbling up, almost spilling over. The thought of Mabel's pain stung deeply within her. Mabel wiped away a tear with the back of her hand. Do you think the good can survive alongside the hurt? Yes. Definitely. Memories have a way of healing, don't you think? Emma replied, reaching for her grandma's hands again. What if we find a way to celebrate those moments, even the painful ones? You're so brave, Mabel. Mabel's gaze softened, her lips forming a small smile. Brave me? Of course. You've faced so much. Just look at all the love you've shared. You're full of stories yet to be told. Emma squeezed her hand tighter, determination swirling between them. Just as Mabel opened her mouth to reply, a rustle nearby captured their attention. A young girl, perhaps 8 or 9, bounded forward, her energy apparent as she chased a butterfly with outstretched arms. Emma and Mabel watched as the child twirled and giggled, the innocence of her laughter pulling at the corners of their hearts. That reminds me of you, Emma, Mabel chuckled lightly. Your laughter used to fill the air like that. Emma felt a rush of warmth at the memory of endless summers spent under this very tree playing and dreaming. Maybe it's time to start laughing like that again, Grandma. Maybe it is. Mabel turned, her eyes glistening as if watching a door slowly creak open. Should we join her? Emma suggested, a spark of adventure igniting between them. Yes, let us. Mabel replied. With a smile brighter than before. The moment felt electric, a line drawn between fear and freedom, shadows and sunshine. As they stood, ready to step into the laughter, Emma felt a flutter of hope that today could change everything, but just as they began to rise, a woman appeared at the edge of the clearing, her expression distant, shrouded in confusion. Mabel? Is that you? Mabel froze, confusion knitting her brows. Emma's heart raced. Was this someone from the past? Could this stranger hold answers to the questions swirling like leaves in the autumn wind? Mabel, Emma whispered, her voice caught between anticipation and dread. What secrets lay hidden beneath the surface of this unexpected reunion? The woman took a hesitant step closer, her eyes wide as they searched Mabel's face. I wasn't sure it was you. There was a tremor in her voice, a mixture of hope and fear. Maggie? Mabel's voice cracked, disbelief written all over her features. The name, loaded with memories, echoed like an unexpected song. Emma's heart quickened as she realized, this was someone from her grandmother's past, a figure cloaked in the shadows of old times. Mabel. It's been so long. Maggie's gaze flitted nervously between the two of them, as if trying to gauge Emma's presence and the tendrils of time lost. Emma studied the woman's face. It bore the hallmarks of age but held an energy that struck her as familiar. As a child, she had often brushed off the stories of her grandmother's youth as fanciful tales, fairy tales peppered with roses and thorns. And yet, here it was, a living chapter before her. Why, how are you here? Mabel's voice trembled, words caught between nostalgia and caution. I saw you across the park, Maggie replied, a nervous bite to her lip. I couldn't believe it was really you. After everything that happened, I didn't know if I'd ever. Her voice faltered, and the emotion flooded like a dam breaking. The air around them stilled, Emma's heart raced with every second that passed, the weight of unspoken memories settling heavily upon them. Mabel, caught in a storm of past and present, looked to Emma, her eyes pleading for understanding, joining the dots of their family's history. I didn't know you were in the area, Maggie, Mabel finally said, her voice steadier but thick with emotion. Why did you come? What do you want? I came looking for you, for closure, I suppose. It's hard to explain, but I never forgot. I thought you deserved to know, Maggie began, her words unspooling like thread. You didn't just vanish without a trace, Mabel. Your story, the one I've held onto for years, your bravery and pain have meant something. Emma's heart pounded. The weight of these words spun around her, echoing desperately in the recesses of her mind. What do you mean? Mabel asked, the questions igniting fireflies of curiosity between them. Closure? What do you know? I knew about the days that followed the hard decisions, the loss. You didn't just step away. You were pushed. Maggie looked at Mabel, depth woven into the lines of her face. I wanted you to know you were never forgotten. I needed you to understand that your spirit was and is still alive, despite the darkness. Mabel's breath caught, the threads of hope and pain woven into a tapestry of feelings too complex to unspool. But I thought it was over, that all of it was behind me. I thought I was alone, she whispered. Mabel, the truth is, we all carry the scars of our past. But they shape us, sometimes they even connect us. I've learned that embracing the shadow, claiming it as part of our story, allows healing, Maggie said softly, her hands trembling slightly as if she was trying to reach out despite years gone by. Emma was transfixed, caught in the grip of their reunion as light danced through the branches overhead. The sun seemed to catch Mabel's tears, making them shine like 1,000 memories mingling in the air, and in that moment, an undeniable wave of clarity washed over Mabel, mingling with the frost of doubt. Would she truly allow herself to seek the pieces of herself hidden in the rubble of time? Would she trust Maggie again? Maggie, Mabel began, her voice gaining strength. Will you stay? The question hung in the air, bold and trembling. Emma held her breath, not sure how the answer would unfold, and what it might mean for their family's journey ahead. This unexpected encounter had cracked open the door to something larger than any of them could fathom. Just then, a soft rustle from the bushes startled them all, breaking the tense moment. A small puppy tumbled into view, barking joyfully as it bounded towards the trio. Laughter bubbled up involuntarily from Mabel, a sound that echoed happiness after days marked by silence, but as they all looked at the puppy, Emma felt a tightening in her chest. What about the secrets you hold, Maggie? She thought. What truths are lurking, waiting for this reunion to unearth them? The sunlight continued to dance, as if holding its breath alongside them, waiting for the next moment to reveal itself. The playful bark of the puppy filled the air, lightening the weight of the moment just enough for Mabel to take a deep breath. She squatted to greet the energetic ball of fur. Well, aren't you just the sweetest little thing? The laughter slipped easily from her lips, a sound that felt foreign but lovely, like a melody rediscovered after years of silence. Maggie watched, a soft smile spreading across her face. Emma couldn't help but notice the warmth between them. This was not just a reunion, it was a bridge to something uncharted yet incredibly familiar. The laughter faded, though, as Emma sensed the reality of their situation. A mixture of joy and unresolved tension hung in the air like the scent of summer rain. Maggie's voice faltered, suddenly serious. There's something important we need to talk about. The smile faded, and the shadow of past regrets loomed between them like a storm cloud. Mabel stood up, brushing dirt from her hands and pulling her mind back from the lightness. What is it, Maggie? The hint of a tremor returned to her voice. Emma could feel the shift, an invisible line drawn. Here they were, flanked by joy one moment and heavy truth the next. I have to tell you I've missed so much, Maggie said, her eyes brimming with emotion. It's about your past. And why you left. She paused, as if steeling herself for the weight of her words. Why I couldn't reach out sooner. Mabel's expression grew tight. You said I was never forgotten. How could that be, Maggie? If you really knew what I went through. It's complicated, Maggie interrupted. When you left, things spiraled out of control. You were my best friend, Mabel. I felt powerless. I thought I could help, but I didn't know how. There were conversations I couldn't have, truths that were, and still are, bordering on too painful. She took a deep breath. But you deserve to know what happened after you vanished. What I uncovered. Emma held her breath again, caught in the wave of emotions between the two women. Every heartbeat echoed the weight of secrets, secrets that carried the power to change everything they thought they knew. I want to understand, Mabel whispered, the quiver in her voice betraying a flicker of fear combined with a burning curiosity. Please, tell me. Maggie rubbed her temples, as if grinding away years of guilt. Your family faced so much after you left. It wasn't just a sudden disappearance. There were questions, arguments, and well, the asylum was looming. That's what they wanted. Everyone thought it was a solution. Mabel flinched as if she had been struck. No. Not the asylum. I thought that life was buried with the past. I thought I was safe. Her voice trembled, and for a moment, Emma saw a reflection of the pain in her grandmother's eyes, a trapped spirit fighting to break free. And that's why I came, Mabel. To help you fight that fear now, Maggie said, stepping forward. Because you aren't alone. Remember that. The puppy whimpered, sensing the shift. Mabel knelt again, wrapping her arms around the dog as it licked her face. But the warmth of that instant contrasted sharply with the chilled memories flooding back. How do I even begin claiming my narrative again? She whispered, lost in thought. Emma shifted closer, her own heart heavy, yet a spark igniting within her. Mabel, you've come this far. The story isn't finished. Your truth doesn't just belong to the past, it's also alive in the choices you make today. In that subtle exchange, time stretched. Emma felt like she was watching history unfold, a tapestry woven with choices, hopes, and unrollied fear. Mabel nodded slowly, her eyes glistening with the hint of determination. I want to understand everything, Maggie. And I want to reclaim my life. Just then, the sun started to dip lower in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the park. The trio stood united, yet questions loomed like thunderheads on the horizon. What truth is buried beneath all of this? Emma wondered silently. What will it take for each of them to finally face their own shadows? And as they stood together, waiting for answers, it was clear they were on the brink of a revelation that could change everything. Mabel felt the puppy's warm body nestled against her chest, its playful spirit momentarily distracting her from the chaos of thoughts swirling in her mind. The soft evening breeze carried the distant sound of children laughing, a stark contrast to her inner turmoil. What would she uncover? Would revealing the truth lift the weight, or crush her further? Mabel, Maggie's voice was steady, breaking through the quiet. I want you to know that you're not chained to your past. You can rewrite it. But first, you have to face it. Mabel looked at her old friend, eyes searching for answers. What if the truth is worse than I imagine? What if I've been running for a reason? The truth often feels like a mountain, Maggie replied gently. It looms large and intimidating. But standing at the foothills, we can choose our path up. You have come this far. You have the courage to take those steps. As the sunlight receded, shadows flickered around them. Emma felt a sudden pang of fear. What were they about to unearth? She couldn't shake the feeling that they were teetering on the edge of something monumental. Her heart raced as she thought of all that Mabel had endured, the echoes of loss that threatened to pull her back into darkness. Okay, Mabel said finally, a deep breath escaping her lips. Let us start from the beginning. Tell me everything. Maggie hesitated but then nodded. Do you remember the night you left? The argument? It wasn't just a disagreement. Your parents were scared, Mabel. They thought they could control everything, the questions from the neighbors, the whispers in the halls. They were desperate. Mabel pressed her lips together, anger flaring. Desperate? Or selfish? They saw me as something to contain. I was their secret. If they just stuck me in some building, maybe no one would notice I was gone. Emma caught a glimpse of the fire that still burned within Mabel, despite the weariness that lined her face. But they loved you, Maggie interjected softly. Love isn't always enough, Mabel countered, the tremor in her voice cutting through the air. Love doesn't erase fear. It doesn't fix the darkness. I thought leaving would bring me peace, but I left a path of destruction. As the words hung ominously between them, Emma glanced at the puppy, who had taken to chewing on a fallen leaf. That adorable distraction ignited a spark of comfort in Mabel's heart. Perhaps, just perhaps, there was room for healing amid the pain. Mabel, Maggie said with a teasing warmth, trying to lighten the mood, you can't look at the leaves without considering the roots. And those roots? They are tangled and couldn't be more complicated. Forcing it back into the ground does nothing for the tree, Emma chimed in, her heart pounding. It has to grow into its next chapter. I don't want to be dragged back into that dark chapter again, Mabel whispered, fear edging closer. But what if you could navigate it with us? Maggie asked, squeezing Mabel's hand gently. You have the strength to confront what lies beneath the surface. This is your opportunity to rewrite your story. And we'll be right beside you. The puppy perked its ears, barking twice as if joining their pact. Mabel chuckled softly, the tension easing for a moment. She finally felt a sliver of hope growing alongside the fear. Okay, let us do it then. No more shadows. I deserve to know the truth. Just as Mabel was about to embrace this newfound resolve, an unexpected sound echoed from the pathway nearby. A familiar voice rang out, slicing through the moment, one that could change everything. Mabel. There you are. We need to talk. Your mother is back in town. Mabel's heart dropped as she turned to face the intruder, knowing the tumult that was about to unfold. What had she stepped into? Would the answers she sought come to light, or would they unravel everything she had just begun to stitch back together? Mabel's breath caught in her throat, the words washing over her like cold water. Her mother's name hung in the air, taut and heavy, as every stitch of her resolve threatened to pull apart. The puppy whimpered in her arms, sensing the shift in her mood, and she clutched it tighter. Emma and Maggie quickly glanced at each other, the change in Mabel's expression sending a wave of concern rippling between them. Maybe you should, Emma began, but Mabel shook her head, silencing the thought. No, Mabel insisted, her voice steadying with purpose. This is what I'm here for. I need to do this. They stepped back slightly as Mabel turned to meet the intruder. There stood Julia, Mabel's mother, her pale face framed by a curtain of messy hair, eyes wide and pleading. It was as if the years had folded in on themselves, transforming her mother into a ghost from the past. Julia's voice quivered, carrying a blend of sorrow and urgency. You don't understand. We have to talk. It's important. Important? Mabel echoed, bitterness creeping in. You mean, like all the years that you decided silence was better than truth? Julia stepped forward, desperation flickering in her eyes. I came back because I had to. There are things you don't know, things about your grandmother. Mabel's heart raced. My grandmother? What does she have to do with any of this? Maggie gently squeezed Mabel's arm, as if to say that they were all in this together, no matter what. Mabel felt a swell of warmth from the bond she had started to rebuild. But the ache in her chest only deepened with curiosity and fear. Your grandmother, she went through something unimaginable. It changed our family. Changed everything. I need you to understand why I did what I did. Why I thought I was protecting you. Protecting me? Mabel scoffed, her voice laced with disbelief. All you did was hide me away. You thought that keeping me away from the truth would keep me safe, but it only made me feel more trapped. The puppy barked again, sensing the intensity growing. Mabel absent-mindedly stroked its back, grounding herself as she wrestled with emotions threatening to spill over into chaos. Please, Mabel. Julia's voice softened, the veneer of authority slipping away. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to explain, to help you find clarity. If you want it. Clarity. The word hovered in the air, buoyed by memories of late-night discussions with Maggie and Emma. Could facing her mother provide the answers she sought? Or would uncovering more of the family's secrets cast shadows on the fledgling hope that had just begun to bloom? Taking a deep breath, Mabel glanced at her friends, their unwavering support lighting her path forward. Okay, talk. Tell me everything. What happened to Grandma? Just then, the wind picked up, rustling through the trees around them, almost like nature itself was holding its breath. Mabel steadied her heart, ready to embrace whatever revelations lay ahead. She was tired of avoidance. She was ready to face the truth, whatever that truth might be. As Julia opened her mouth to speak, a sharp inhalation echoed through the night. You don't understand, Mabel. Your grandmother, you were never meant to find out this way. If she sees you, confusion coursed through Mabel. If she sees me what? Before Julia could respond, the crackling of twigs echoed from deeper in the woods, accompanied by a shadow that shifted abruptly, looming in the dark. Mabel's pulse quickened, a sense of foreboding washing over her. What and who was hiding in the shadows? And what truth lay waiting to be revealed? The shadow flickered at the edge of the clearing, creeping closer with every breath Mabel took. Fear twisted in her stomach. She held the puppy tighter, its warm body trembling against her. Julia's face was a mask of worry, her gaze darting toward the darkness like a frightened animal. Mabel, listen to me. Julia urged, her voice desperate. You're not ready for this. Your grandmother, she's not the woman you think she is. What do you mean? Mabel shot back, the vulnerability in her voice cracking through the bravado she tried to assemble. What happened to my grandmother? Why did you leave? What are you running from? As if in response, the shadows deepened, and the crackling sound grew louder. Emma's hand shot to her mouth, her wide eyes locked on the unseen figure, while Maggie positioned herself protectively in front of Mabel. Mabel. Julia grasped her wrist, pulling her attention back to her. You have to trust me. You need to stay away. A figure burst from the trees, launching forward, catching the light from the moon just right so that Mabel could see the panic etched in a familiar face. It was her grandmother, clutching an old shawl around her shoulders, eyes wild as they fell on Mabel. Mabel. The woman cried, breathless. You mustn't be here. It's not safe. Grandma. Mabel gasped, her heart pounding as she stumbled back. The warmth of reunion twisted with apprehension, creating a storm in her chest. What's happening? Without answering, her grandmother rushed forward, eyes darting back toward the way she came. They are coming. You must go. All of you. An emptiness settled in Mabel's gut. Who? What do you mean? Gritting her teeth, Julia stepped in front of Mabel, shielding her like an iron gate. You can't. But the older woman broke through Julia's hold. No. Mabel needs to know. She deserves the truth. You've kept her in the dark long enough. Mabel, don't listen to her. Julia interrupted, her voice full of urgency. She's delusional. You don't know what she went through. She needs help, not to be here with you. Mabel felt her heart splinter into pieces. Torn between her mother and grandmother, she looked back and forth between their frantic expressions. What do you mean, what she went through? Is this connected to everything you've kept from me? For a moment, silence reigned, punctuated only by the whispering wind. The hallway of time seemed to stretch, filled with the weight of unspoken words. Mabel, her grandmother finally spoke, voice trembling but firm. I went into hiding to protect our family from a darker truth than you can imagine. They thought I was unfit for the world, but it was I who kept you safe from them. From who? Mabel pressed, a mix of anger and confusion igniting. Her grandmother's eyes darkened, shadows of fear creeping in. You don't understand, Mabel. If they find you, they will want to take you just like they tried to take me. You were never meant to know. The cycle must end. Panic twisted in Mabel's chest. With this revelation, every single worry bubbled to the surface. Is that what you were hiding from me? She stepped back, torn between disbelief and the fierce loyalty to the women in front of her. What is this cycle? What do you mean? Before either woman could respond, another rustle stirred the trees, a shift that felt sinister now. This time, Mabel didn't need to see the figure to know. Someone or something was lurking, watching them. Mabel. Julia yelled, her eyes wide. You need to go. Now. But Mabel stood frozen, heart pounding, wrestling between fear and the undeniable call of familial bonds. I won't leave until I know the truth. And as the shadows gathered, the risk of that truth loomed larger than ever. What cost would Mabel have to pay to uncover the secrets that had shackled her family for generations? Mabel stood there, heart hammering, locked between the fierce warmth of her grandmother's presence and the storm of urgency radiating from her mother. Time stretched thin, wrapping them in a taut silence heavy with the weight of years lost to fear and shadows. The air crackled with tension, as if the world itself was holding its breath, waiting for Mabel to make a decision. Enough. Mabel's voice broke through the silence, a declaration that echoed against the encroaching darkness. I want to know the truth. If someone is coming for us, I need to stand with you. I won't hide any longer. Maggie's eyes widened, and Emma took a step closer, pulling her friend back slightly, but Mabel held her ground. You've both suffered enough for too long. The fear stops here. Her grandmother's eyes softened, a flicker of pride shining through the fear. You're stronger than I ever was, Mabel, but this is dangerous. Maybe, Mabel replied, gathering all the courage within her. But running has only kept us trapped in a story written by others. I deserve the truth, no matter the cost. We all do. Before her grandmother could argue, another figure stepped from the shadows, this one commanding and authoritative, wearing a dark coat that seemed to blend with the encroaching night. Mabel's stomach knotted tightly, recognizing the familiar silhouette. It was the shadow that had lingered in her past, always just beyond reach. Julia, the figure's voice was clipped and cold. It's time to bring her back. Who are you? Mabel demanded, stepping forward protectively. Why do you want to take me away? The figure studied her, eyes piercing, as if weighing her worth. You don't understand the force you represent, Mabel. You are part of a legacy, one that could change everything. They're not coming for you because of your past. They're coming to assert control. Mabel's heart raced faster, each beat like a war drum. The pieces clicked together, the truth she sought unspooling like a tapestry against the night. Control? She echoed incredulously. You think you can silence me? You're the ones who've held my family hostage. I've longed for the light. Your mother wants to shield you. She's protecting you from what you cannot understand, the figure insisted, trying to pull Julia back closer to him. No more. Mabel felt a fire blazing in her chest. This family has been shackled by secrets and half-truths. I will understand. This stops here. Julia's face crumpled lightly. Mabel, you need to listen to him. The past is dangerous. Please no, Mom. Mabel shot back, voice unwavering. You're not losing me again to fear. I want to know the truth. All of it. As the dark figure shifted uneasily, Mabel sensed the hesitation behind the facade of authority. Fine. But you need to know, his voice dropped to almost a whisper, the legacy you carry is not just a blessing. It's also a curse. In that moment, Mabel felt a mix of fear and resolve, as if her very identity was unfurling in tension. And then, the truth she so desperately sought erupted into view like a floodlight illuminating her darkened past. Maggie stepped forward, dismissing the figure with a wave of her hand. What truth lies behind that facade? We've dealt with denial long enough. Mabel deserves clarity, not manipulation. Mabel turned to her grandmother, gripping her shoulder firmly. The warmth of the connection flowed between them as the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the clearing. Together, we face this. I won't be dragged back to silence. With that, Mabel took a deep, steadying breath and declared, Tell me everything. And at that moment, the night grew still. The dark figure hesitated, fear creeping back into his eyes as though he sensed the shift not just in the air, but in the hearts of the women poised before him. All right, if you want the truth, it begins with your grandmother's past when they feared her strength and tried to suppress it. The words fell like thunder, each syllable heavy with the weight of ancestral pain and the flicker of hope. Mabel clung tightly to the moment, to the budding understanding. That they were, at last, callers of their destinies. As the story began to unfold, Mabel finally felt the shackles of secrecy attempt to dissolve. Each revelation, each honesty washed over her like a healing balm. She was a warrior, after all, connected to a legacy not of darkness, but of resilience. Together, they would unearth the truths long buried beneath years of heartache, the whispers that had once led them to fear each other. They could reshape their narrative. Mabel could see it now, a bright horizon expanding before them, where love conquered despair, revelation rolled over confusion, and fear balled into wholesomeness. In that moment, Mabel realized her fight wasn't just about her past, it was about speaking for all of those who had come before her and for those who would come after. And as the old shadows began to disappear, they stood resolute, grandmother, mother, and granddaughter, ready to reclaim their narrative and rewrite their family legacy. With courage, love, and the raw, unstoppable truth, and with shared hearts, together they declared, no more secrets. Not ever again. This is the time to join us on this journey and leave your mark. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.